Welcome to my video on constructors in inheritance. In this video we will learn what is constructor, basic features of constructor, how to define constructors in base and derived classes, defining constructor in derived class, and one sample program to demonstrate the use of constructors in inheritance. So first of all, let us see some basics of constructors. Constructor is used to initialize the objects when they are created. So in constructors video, we have seen that the basic use of constructor is to initialize the objects when they are created in the main function. Constructor is a special member function of a class. So the normal member functions are there. Along with that, we can have the special member function, that is constructor. What is speciality? The speciality of constructor is that the name of constructor function is same as class name. So whatever the class name, you have to use same name for the constructor function also. The arguments passed to constructor are used to initialize the data members of class. Generally, whatever the arguments we are passing to the constructor function, these arguments we are using to assign the values or to initialize the data members of that class. Now, in inheritance, the constructors functions are defined in each class. So we know that in inheritance there is base class, there may be in intermediate base class, derived class, and they may be in single or in numbers, that there may be one or many base classes, there may be one or many derived classes. So in all these classes you have to define the constructor. So like this, there will be base class or base classes constructors, then intermediate base class constructor if it is there, and of course the derived class, or if there are multiple derived classes, then in each derived class there will be the constructor. So like this, whenever you are using the constructors in inheritance, you have to focus on all the classes involved in that particular inheritance. Now let us see how to define constructors in each class. First of all, base 1, that is the base class 1, it has its own data members. In public section, you have to define now the constructor of base class. Let us see base 1 constructor. The name of the constructor will be, of course, the name of the base class, that is base 1. It has its own argument list, and using this argument list, you have to define the body of the constructor in which we will initialize the data members of base class. So in this way, you have to include the constructor within base class 1. Similarly, there may be another base class. Let us say base 2. It has its own data members, and in public section again you have to define another constructor of base class 2 with the name base 2, which is the class name, and it has its own argument list. Let us say argument list 2. Using this argument list 2, you have to write the body of the constructor, and in this body of the constructor we will initialize the data members of base class 2. So like this, we can have the multiple base classes, and in each base class you have to define the constructors like this. In derived class, suppose the derived class is derived from base 1 and base 2. It is a type of multiple inheritance. For example, the derived class also has its own data members separately, and in public section now there will be the derived constructor. Now this derived constructor is not the simple derived constructor which we have defined in the base classes. So I have put the question mark because the syntax is different, and I am going to explain this how to define constructor in derived class, that is the derived class constructor, on next slide. Like this, here the separate base class constructor in first base class, another base class may have another constructor, and there will be separate derived class constructor which is a special constructor definition that I am going to explain now. Here, before that, let us consider some points. The objects are always created of derived classes in inheritance. Whenever you are implementing any type of inheritance, we are always creating the objects of derived class and not of base classes or intermediate base classes. Hence, while creating object, constructor will be called of derived class. So in main function, we are creating the object of derived class and points to that object. Of course, the constructor of derived class will be called first. So it is the responsibility of derived class constructor to call base constructors within it. So within the derived class constructor, there should be provision to call the base constructors, that is the base class constructors, so that the constructors will be called in a particular sequence, so that all data members will be initialized and the entire object will be initialized. So the sequence of constructor calls and execution should be like this. First of all, the derived class constructor is called with all arguments. Now these all arguments indicate all arguments of all classes, that is the arguments of base class, arguments of intermediate base class, or whatever the base classes, all arguments of those base classes plus the arguments of derived class itself, all arguments. Out of these all arguments, now there will be the distribution. The arguments of base class 1 will be passed to the base class 1 constructor and it will be executed. Then the base class 2 constructor is called by passing its argument list 2. So out of all arguments, the argument list 2 is extracted and it is passed to base class 2 constructor, and like this base class 2 constructor will be executed. And at last the derived class constructor will be executed, because the last argument list, that is the argument list D, is of derived class and it is passed to the constructor body of the derived class constructor, and like this now the actual execution of derived class constructor will be performed at last, means after all base classes. So first of all, whatever the n number of base classes are there, so their constructors will be executed in a sequence 1, 2, 3, 4, n up to n, and then last the body of the derived class constructor will be executed. So this is the syntax. While calling, the derived class constructor is called first, but within derived class constructor the base class constructors are executed in sequence, and then at last the constructor body of derived class will be executed. Like this the object will be initialized. Now let us see the syntax of defining derived class constructor. So first of all, here in red color you can see derived class constructor name is there, which is of course the class name of derived class. There are various argument lists, argument list 1, argument list 2, and like this n number of argument lists will be there, and at last argument list D. So this argument list D indicates, D means derived class. This is the argument list of derived class, and apart from this, on the left side there are argument list of all base classes, that is list of base class 1, list 2 is of base class 2, and so on. List n will be the list of base class n. Then at the end there is colon, and this colon specifies there is a continuation on separate line, and here on the next line I am calling the base class 1. So base 1, so this is the name of base class constructor 1, and argument list 1 is passed. Okay, so out of this all arguments list, only argument list 1 is passed to the base class 1 constructor. Similarly, argument list will be passed to base class 2 constructor, and so on. Argument list n will be passed to base class n constructor, and then body of the derived class constructor will start, that is here the argument list will be used. So I will show you with the help of arrows. So this arg list 1 is passed to base 1 constructor, argument list 2 is passed to base 2 constructor, and argument list n will be passed to base n constructor, and argument list D is passed to derived constructor within the body itself to initialize the data members. So it has two parts. This upper part is the header part. Now this header part consists of two things, and lower part is called as a body part, that is a body of derived class constructor. Within header part there are two components. One is this argument list passed to derived class constructor. So here this is the entire argument list, which consists of the arguments of all base classes plus arguments of derived class. And here in the green circle you can see here, this is nothing but the base class constructor calls. So all base class constructors are called in a sequence 1, 2, 3, 4 up to n. So like this, here this is the syntax of defining derived class constructor. Let us understand with the help of example. Defining a derived class constructor. D is the derived class and it has its constructor name is same, that is D. Now you can see I have mentioned 3 argument lists. First argument list is in blue color, which is A1, A2 of first base class. Then float B1, float B2, this is pink color, that is the argument list of second base class. And at the last green color, int D1, int D2, this is the argument list of derived class. So the sequence is fixed, that is all base class 1, base class 2, base class 3 and so on, and it should end with the derived class argument list always. Then there is a colon. Now with these 3 argument list, I will pass to the different constructors. First, A constructor, that is it is the name of first base class. For this A constructor, I am passing these blue color arguments, that is A1 and A2 actual arguments. Then constructor B is called with the arguments B1 and B2. Then the body of the derived class constructor will start, and here the arguments D1 and D2 are used to initialize the data members of derived constructor like this. So here A is the base class 1, B represents base class 2 and D represents derived class, and their constructor name also are same. So here this blue color argument list A1 and A2 are passed to A constructor, B1 and B2 are passed to B constructor, and D1 and D2 are passed to D constructor, that is within itself. So in this way, this is the example of defining derived class constructor. Now we will make use of this derived class constructor in a program. So let us implement derived class constructor in C++ program. Include the header file. Let us have the definition of alpha class, which is our base class 1. In alpha class, only one data member is declared, that is x of integer type. It is protected because I am going to use it in the derived class. In public section, now define the base constructor alpha. The alpha is a constructor with argument I of integer type. This I argument is used to initialize the data member x. End of alpha base class. Let us go for second base class, that is class beta. It has its own data members, that is protected under protected section float y. So y is declared as protected because I am going to use this y in derived class. In public section, let us define the base constructor beta. Beta is also having one argument j, and this j is used in the body of the constructor to initialize the data member y. End of beta class. So like this, we have defined alpha and beta base classes with their own constructors. Now let us go for derived class. The gamma class is derived from alpha and beta. So like this, here it is the example of a multiple inheritance. The gamma is derived from 2 base classes alpha and beta. Data members, it has its own data member, let us say z integer type. In public section, now I am going to define the derived class constructor as per the syntax which we have studied. Gamma is the name of constructor because the class name is gamma. Now here again the argument list, 3 arguments are there in 3 colors. Green color indicates the argument of the base class 1, that is alpha. Float j, this is the violet color argument is for I am going to use for beta class constructor, and k, this is the third argument I am going to use for the gamma constructor within this body itself. So like this, the distribution of these 3 arguments will be there, and at the end there is a colon. Now I am going to call the alpha constructor followed by beta constructor. So first alpha constructor is called with argument I, and then beta constructor is called with argument j. Now this I argument is used to initialize the data member of alpha class, and j argument is used to initialize the data member of beta class. Then body of the gamma constructor starts, and within this the data member of gamma class is initialized with the help of k argument. So like this, Z is also initialized, and I have now the member function to display all these values, that is the data members X, Y and Z of 3 classes, put values and end of the derived class. Now let us define this member function put values. The member definition is like this: void gamma scope resolution operator, put values void. It is a void function, no arguments, no return value. The simple output operation I am going to perform here: cout, the value of X is displayed; cout, the value of Y is displayed; cout, value of Z is displayed on different lines. So like this, X and Y, these are from base classes. X is the data member of base class alpha, and Y is the data member of base class beta, and Z is the data member of derived class gamma. But X and Y are declared as protected. They can be used in its immediate derived class, and like this they are accessible here. Let us go for the main function, anti-main. First of all, create an initialized object of derived class. So here our derived class is gamma, so I will create the object G of gamma class. 3 constant arguments are passed, that is 10, 25.5 and 77. This 10 represents the argument for base class 1. 25.5 will be passed to the constructor of base class 2, that is beta, and 77 will be passed to the constructor of gamma class, okay, in a sequence. And as per the definition of derived class constructor, this distribution will be there. 10 will be initialized to data member X, 25.5 will be initialized or assigned to data member Y, and 77 will be assigned to data member Z of 3 different classes. Let us display the value of this object by calling the member function put values. So g.put values, here derived class function call, simple member function call is there using object and dot operator. It will display all values of X, Y and Z. Let us end the main function. Now let us see what will be the output. The output will be like this: data of object will be X is equal to 10, Y is equal to 25.5 and Z we will get as 77. So like this, all these 3 arguments are passed to the constructor of gamma, and internally the gamma constructor will pass these arguments to the respective base classes as well as its own class. So in this way we can implement the derived class constructor within the inheritance, and as per the syntax of derived class constructor, we have to define that constructor within the derived class so that the proper sequence of calling and executing the constructors will be followed. Let us hope you understood the concept of derived class constructor in this video. Thank you for watching my video on constructors in inheritance.